Level 1. The Rookie. You arrive at fire camp before dawn, carrying a 45-pound pack up a fire road in mountain heat that bakes the air until it shimmers. The crew bosses are already watching, sorting the season's hires into categories you can't see, but they can. Keeper, marginal, gone by July. Nobody tells you which you are. Nobody tells you anything except where to dig and when to move. The washout rate that first month is brutal. They mention it on day one like it's weather. Half of you won't make the season. Some will quit. Some will get cut. Some will simply fold in ways that aren't visible at first, but become obvious after the third 16-hour shift. Your first week is line, not flame, moving along a ridge scraping fuel down to bare mineral soil so fire has nothing left to eat. You swing a Pulaski until your hands blister and the blisters tear and the torn skin hardens into something that no longer feels. You learn the pack test, the 3 miles in 45 minutes under 45 pounds, and you learn it's the easy part. You learn that fire doesn't burn the way it looks like it should, that it runs uphill faster than a man can sprint, that wind is the variable that decides everything. You learn that patience and footing matter more than courage, and that the work is mostly digging, mostly waiting, mostly carrying weight-up grades that punish you for existing. The rookies around you drop in clusters. One quits after a night shift that left him cramping and vomiting on the line. 2 are sent home for ignoring a safety brief. 1 simply doesn't show for the morning count, his bunk stripped, his gear returned, the decision made somewhere in the dark. You stay, not because you're the best, but because you refuse to picture leaving. Every shift that grinds your knees to gravel, every meal eaten standing up, every hour of smoke that coats your throat in ash, you file it somewhere it can't reach your resolve. At season's end, you've made roughly $15 an hour, plus hazard pay and overtime, that pushed you near $32,000 for months of work most people couldn't survive a week of. You're not spectacular, you're competent. You sign on for next year. Level 2. The crew member. You join an interagency hand crew under a squad boss named Wes Calder, who has 14 seasons and eyes that read a horizon line the way other people read a clock. He's watched more country burn than you've driven across, and he carries it in small ways. The way he positions the crew with 2 escape routes always. The way he goes quiet when the wind shifts. The fires he doesn't talk about that everyone knows by the gaps in his stories. You're junior, which means you cut line, run saw, haul hose, and watch. Wes does the reading. Fuel moisture, slope, the column of smoke that tells him what the fire intends before the fire knows itself. You become his hands while he stays the crew's brain. Your first real campaign fire is a 100,000-acre monster in dry timber, and you spend 21 days on it, sleeping in dirt, eating from foil pouches, breathing air that turns the sun blood orange at noon. You learn to read fire behavior in the way smoke leans, the way it lies flat before it stands up and runs. You learn the rhythm of the fire line, the burst of a flare-up, then the strange dead waiting in the black where everything's already burned. You learn the friendships that form in conditions you can't explain to anyone who wasn't there. Calder watches you after your first close call, a spot fire that crossed the line and forced a scramble to a safety zone, looking for the crack that sends people home. He doesn't see it. You don't ask what that means. The pay climbs to maybe $22 an hour, with the season's overtime stacking past $50,000, and you start to understand the trade, your body for the country's forests. Level 3. The Sawyer. Calder rotates to a desk after his marriage finally goes the way the long seasons always threatened. And you take the saw as lead because that's what the crew needs. Your first felling on a steep slope is anticlimactic, a snag dropped clean into the lay you called. It's the hard cuts that teach you who you've become. A fire pushing toward a town, a stand of dead timber that has to come down now to widen the line, wind shoving the column sideways while you read each tree's weight and lean and rot before the bar ever bites. You drop 40 in a shift, lungs full of two-stroke and resin, and the line holds, and the town behind you keeps its houses. 3,000 structures saved on that one. It feels different than the rest. The weight redistributes. You clear past $60,000 that year and feel every dollar in your spine. Level 4. The Squad Boss. You're leading now, evaluating new hires who remind you of yourself 6 seasons back. Teaching exposes the gaps in your own knowledge. You thought you knew why the line goes where it goes, until you had to explain it. You learn to predict who lasts, not the strongest, but the ones who treat a mistake as information instead of a verdict. You earn a name for hard standards and fair calls. But supervising pulls you off the saw, off the line, into briefings and paperwork the fire never asks for, and you miss the clarity of the work itself, the stripped-down focus a running crown fire creates. When a bad season comes, you take the assignment. Level 5. The Superintendent. The crew is younger now, references you don't share, GPS units and drones that didn't exist when you started. They call you old-timer, which you're not quite, but feel becoming. Your knees forecast rain. But you lead because experience compounds. You've seen what works and what kills. You make a call on a wind-driven fire near a subdivision. Pull the crew to the black, let the structures go, refuse to put bodies between flame and timber. And the call saves lives that a braver, dumber one would have spent. The crew tells that story afterward. The one nobody tells is the burnout you ordered that didn't hold the way you read it, the acreage and the home it cost. The review cleared you, the slope conditions cleared you, but it visits anyway, and you carry it, because the supers who feel nothing scare you more than the ones who feel everything. By now you're near $90,000 with overtime, hazard, and rank. Real money, paid in pieces of yourself. Level 6, the veteran. The title is informal, handed down by the crews, not the agency. It means you survived long enough to become rare, 20+ seasons without burning out or breaking or being unlucky in the arithmetic of a blow-up. Younger firefighters ask you things they'd ask no one else. You consult on tactics, test new gear, train the people who'll train the next ones, and you understand what the planners don't. The judgment that reads a fire can't be automated, that the country burns hotter and longer every year, and the work only gets harder. Your last fire is your easiest and hardest. Easy because it's routine, hard because you know it's the last. You don't know the final line is final until you're driving out of camp, and then you know with certainty you'll never do this again. 23 seasons, fires you stopped counting, a generation of firefighters shaped who don't know your name. What you carry home can't be left at the fire. The smell of smoke that triggers memory without warning. The hypervigilance useless in a grocery store. The relationships the seasons ate. But also this, the towns still standing. The families still housed. The forests that will grow back because you were good at something brutal. The drip torch and the worn Pulaski go in a shed you don't open often. Some nights you dream of the fires you couldn't stop, and wonder about the country that grew back over the black, and whether it grew back better. You'll never fully know. That's the nature of the work. One line at a time, one shift at a time. The discipline holds until the last.